Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and welcome to another episode in the Inspired Tarot Map. And today we have a special recording session with my beautiful friend Jessica Zinchuk. Hi Jess.
Hi, Kasia. Thank you so much for inviting me again.
Yes, if you guys watched the interviews, Jessica was actually the first ever Inspired Tarot Map interview. It was 2 years ago, a year and a bit ago, a few years ago. And Jess was the first person ever that I recorded the interview with. So I'm excited just to have you back. And it's like a kind of tradition, a celebration, a anniversary, we can say.
Yes.
One loop from one story medicine tarot to
Yes.
another.
Yes.
We
This
can
is
kind of
true.
say it vaguely. It's kind of when you when you publish the story medicine tarot, the first part, and now you publish the story medicine tarot, the second part. And here we are catching up again. So I'm not going to start as usually with ancestry and all of it, because I'm going to link our first interview below. So whoever's interested, you can guys watch it or rewatch it. And we talk in the first interview mostly about the first part of the story medicine tarot. And this interview is going to be focusing on the second part, because Jessica just published or released this one to the wider public, so you can get this second part now as well. And we're also going to talk briefly about the Soul Skin cards, which is another interesting creative project that just kind of squeezed in between the decks, and it's really interesting, I think. So we're going to speak about it as well. And I have asked you to whoever is watching, but I've asked I asked on YouTube for people to leave some questions for Jessica as well. So we're going to use those questions too. Thank you for all the people who left the questions. We try to answer all of them. And I think we can jump right in because we have quite a lot to cover. I'm so excited. So, well, the first question which I had for you, Jess, was about kind of, when you showed the first video, when you actually showed the video about the story medicine tarot in general, and you had the little snippets there showing that you already have started to work on the second part, which was the animal woman. And you showed a few cards which you were coloring, and it looked like like a shape-shifting kind of animal shapes into a woman, or woman shapes into an animal. And then when I saw the new deck, the animal woman. Yeah, exactly. And I thought every card will be like this somehow, exactly this. So when I saw the deck, the end product, I was a bit like, oh wow, this is not what I expected, So I was wondering if this is what you expected, or if the animal woman took you on a journey that you haven't expected and maybe was just a totally surprise for you as well. You can tell us a bit about that.
Yes, Animal Woman took me on a journey that I did not expect. But this is the beauty of creating, is we don't always know exactly what we're doing. We're just going step by step by step. And really, the imagery that I shared in the first video was more for the purpose of like, oh, I've got to explain my project, and then so we were just kind of feeling into what might it be. And those were really the first, I brought some of them. Those were just really the first sketches that we had of, oh, what might we be doing? But we really didn't know. I mean, like, there's the hummingbird.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to feel it. We were just trying to touch it. But we had no idea. We had no idea. what was coming. And so, yes, the decks are very different. And I'm so glad, because, you know, it's the purpose of this project, is this, you know, this creation journey is to show growth, and real process. And really, you know, this is just a reflection of me clarifying my own path and my own medicine, as far as sharing the medicine of the kelp with the people. And so it is different, but also you will feel there are some things evolving that were there before. Like, I brought some cards to just show, to, like, for example, so here's the Four of Swords from the first edition. You can see she's still in the same position as the last deck, but it's more vivid, it's more visualized, it's coming to life. You know. And so here's the Five of Swords. You see the fire is around her, and here it's the fire has moved inside her.
Okay.
So, you know, there's an evolution happening, not maybe with every card, but like, for example, the end of the deck, she's still in the red dress. You know, this is the Magician that I'm showing now. And all the elements are still there. So then there's the Hanged Woman, you know. And here again, she's in this, you know, kind of different and more evolved, vivid, you know, version. So it's different. And also another good example of this is, you know, the Ace of Pentacles. There's still that world that's cracking open, the egg, you know, from the first and the second edition. It's a similar imagery. So it's interesting to see that some symbology is really staying. Like, that was interesting for me to even see, oh, these, you know, these things keep coming back. Like I said, the red dress at the end, she's naked really the whole deck, and at the end she's cloaked in this red dress. That came back again. You know, the evolution of the hair, you know, Roots on Fire, that story from the first edition, it's totally different in this edition. You know, the hair is like rainbow and swirling up to the heavens, you know. And so there is a lot of differences, a lot of evolution happening, but I will say that what is staying the same, you know, through the course of traveling, you know, through this creation journey, is that the container is still the same. So, you know, that being the journey into woman, in the way that I'm creating these cards, I'm moving swords, right? Crown, you know, third eye, throat, and then down into the heart, the cups. Further down, you know, the pentacles and the spine, the core. Further down, you know, the womb and the wand. So I'm you know, I'm using this container and this medicine of the journey into woman. It's woman as the wheel herself, you know, and these four stories, these four pillar stories, whatever they may be for that creation journey, that time around. It's just like, you know, every year of our life, you know, every season is different. And so what are those four stories? You know, and this is also, you know, I also teach this through my nonprofit work. We work with a different seasonal story as medicine for the people. So that container is the same and will be the same. That will not change. You can always expect that there's going to be a story for every, you know, element of the tarot, that it's going to be that I'm traveling through the body and the vessel of, you know, the Great Mother. in this, physical aspect, of course. So there's that. And so with that, yes, this deck was dedicated to the South, the heart, and the below. So, really the inspiration of this, this body of work is that we as women are walkers of the in-between. Okay. And you'll see that in the cards when you see, oh, there's like seaweed, but there's also clouds, and there's also, oh, where am I? And so that feeling reverberates through the whole thing. And so yeah, maybe that answers that question.
It does answer the
Okay,
question. But maybe we can continue with this framework of like the bigger picture. So there will be 4 decks, right? For
Yes.
4 directions, 4 elements. Also, you connect an element to a direction as well.
Yes.
So the south would be more, but or do you do more like via chakras? Like, would it be, so the north? The first one was the north, right?
So the first deck is the north.
Yeah. So that the story medicine. Yeah.
Yes, the very first is the north, and I have called that deck the door because it's the opening, the beginning, and so yeah. Then this deck is moving down into the heart below, and so that's the south. And so the next deck, I'm going to move further down into the solar plexus. This is going to be the west, and this is the physical plane is what that represents. And so that is going to be somehow thematic to that creation.
Yeah, and then
the last step will be the womb.
For the womb. Yeah, and I found it interesting also that you do the physical, like solar plexus. Even the west kind of, for me, doesn't go really with solar plexus, but it's interesting that in the system it fits. That you said that the womb is the wands, right? The womb is the womb is fiery, and
yes.
Even though a lot of people might go, oh, but maybe womb is the water, but like I know what you mean with the fire, because we actually have this transformation going there all the time, right? But it's interesting also because a lot of people would go, womb is water, right? Or I don't know.
Yes, and also it's important to remember that when we're doing wheel work or wheel study, that there are many different wheels, many different ways to travel on the wheel or work with the wheel. You will see that some wheels have, different elements or different directions in different places. And so it's really just dependent on what feels right for you. That's important to say.
Yeah, but I just wanted to clarify, because when you were listing it, I thought like, oh, that's interesting, because it felt like this swap, because usually also Pentacles, you go to this like base chakra. But when I was, for example, studying with Naisha Zian, she also uses fire for the base chakra. And so there's a lot of like fire there, and you had wands here as well, so interesting. Okay, so the 2 next decks, they in the making, who knows how long it takes, we'll see. Do you have any idea about the south, the west one, or not yet?
Not yet, and I'm really realizing now that each deck feels just deeper, and in the sense that, like I said, just going from here to here is a lot more time consuming, and I'm it just requires more energy, and I just feel that like I said, even more so deepening. So I have no idea. Right now I'm just still trying to collect all Animal Woman's teachings. I'm just trying to collect everything that's still here and like bring that in. Yes. So I have no idea right now.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to pick your brains. Maybe you like, cool. So the kind of question that often gets asked before we go much more into detail into the deck, into the animal woman, is about the booklet and possibility of the booklet. The first part came with this little booklet where you listed the stories, and you had like just a few but really potent, one of my favorite booklets, amazing sentences. Feels like, magic being spoken when you like speak them loud. Also, like what you put on the cards, it's really amazing. So I want to mention again, I did it in the review, but I think it's really difficult to put words onto the tarot archetypes or astrology archetypes without narrowing that archetype badly, because they're so multi-layered. So you managed in most of the cases, I think, I didn't find one even, I think in all of the cases you managed to do this, and I really like applaud you because I know how hard it can be to put it like kind of give it a form, but not limit it, and kind of leave it free to imagination and intuition to actually deepen it. So thank you for that, but we would love a booklet.
I'm so excited to talk about this. So the theme of this deck is listening. This is really important for everyone to know. The theme of this deck is listening. Okay, listening. And when I first started to create the deck, I pulled two pillars and two protectors and two guardians that would walk with me as I created this deck. And they were the High Priestess and the Four of Swords. Yeah.
I put Four of Swords too as my guardian.
Hey, well, we got to tell this backstory really quick. So when I sent Cassia the first edition, she sent me a card. Do you remember that?
No.
Cassia sent me the Four of Swords card with a piece of bear skin, which is hermit protection. So she sent me these things prophesizing, I believe, prophesizing what was to come of the next deck. I have goosebumps right now. So she sent me this card. And then that next solar return I pulled that card as my 2019 teacher. And then I pulled it again as a guardian of this deck. So I just want to weave that in there because
wait for it. I have to show this card now. It cannot go on like this. I mean, a lot of people probably know what card it is, but I can't believe it because, I didn't even think I rarely do that for any other deck, but because this deck is so easy to personify different things, and there's so many animals, and just this, it's beautiful, it's very potent. So I pulled a card as my guardian, and yes, I did get Four of Swords, and I was totally like, how sometimes an image can move you, or when you don't expect something and it just pops out. I just saw this and I felt like her, and I saw all these amazing supporters and guides, and I thought, oh, I just teared up, and I saw it. I totally didn't remember the story about the Four of Swords, which I sent you. So that's even more interesting now, because I'm thinking, oh wow, the Four of Swords is like, we have a weave here going on. So that's interesting. So thanks for saying it. Wonderful. So so listening. Okay, so
so these two cards, and energies are really upholding the integrity of this work, and they have been since the very beginning. And I will say that I begged Animal Woman for a guidebook. I mean, I begged her. I started so many. I kept trying and I kept trying. And she kept saying no. She would not give me a guidebook. And I was just, I was just a mess about that, to be honest, because I was like, people are expecting that from me. People want me to explain what's going on here. They're going to want that. I mean, you know, what am I going to say? I mean, I was having this thought process like the whole year and a half. Like, what am I supposed to, no guidebook? You know, and I really spent probably so much time just thinking about that. Like, oh no, you know, so I just want to share that, you know, because, she just really was so firm about that. And that was hard for me to accept. I mean, that's a very personal process that was happening, but you know, I people are expecting that, you know, and so that was hard for me. That was hard for me personally in the process. And then finally, towards the end, it was in the wands already. I let it go. And Animal Woman, she rejoiced. I am enough. Woo! I am enough. And it was powerful. And I knew I did the right thing. You know, I could have forced it. I could have forced myself and just, but I couldn't. I just couldn't, you know? And so what I'm excited to share is that, you know, Animal Woman wants us to stop looking for the answers outside of ourselves. This is really important and hard medicine to accept, but it is good medicine. And she wants us to figure it out for ourselves, you know, and so we have to go and find out. So, you know, go take sacred pause, make that time, you know, and anything that you want to know can and will be revealed to you there. And so I have to share this. I just have to share, you know, what the medicine is, because this is the truth. And I am considering to write, actually, I don't want to say anything specific because I don't really know. I don't really have a clear idea yet, but I am considering basically to gather the teachings of Animal Woman. But I don't foresee a guidebook, I will say, at this time. And what is also important to say is that the medicine of the animals, I mean, like any relationship, is unique and individual, and we have to build those relationships. For example, I may say, oh, Kastya, the medicine of the elk means this to me. And you may say, oh, interesting, it means this to me. And someone else may just go Google it and want to know what it is quickly, right? Like, tell me what it is quickly. But the invitation here with this deck is to build relationship, you know, with the animals, the plants, you know, the stars and the stones, you know, our ancestors. We have to build relationship. We have to reach out. We live in this world where there's instant gratification, and this deck is really resisting that. Like, no, you go find out for yourself. And so in that way, Animal Woman is very strong and firm in who she is. And that's the power of working with this deck, is strengthening your own inner knowing, you know, like really being firm on what you believe and what you know is true. Don't look to anyone else to tell you what that is. So this is what I can say about that for right now.
Oh yeah, wow. I think you've convinced us by now.
Yeah, Animal Woman is like, burn all your guidebooks. She's such a badass.
I love it. No, this is awesome story to know also, you know, as the kind of a process related story, because I can imagine, you create 4 parts and, you know, the box looks similar, the backs are the same, like, where is my bloody booklet?
Yes. And also I should say part of that is that I didn't really like creating that little booklet. I mean, I did it, but I'm a storyteller. I like to vocalize. I like to orally tell. My medicine is very much related to the vibration of my voice, and that's how I transmit. So it was really great that I said no to the guidebook, because that's how I came into, okay, how will I share these stories? And I thought, oh, cool, I'll tell them, and then I'll share the artwork. So it was fun to think about, how I could just be more true to myself again.
Yeah, wonderful. That's really great. Also teaching, I think, and it comes with this deck powerfully. And also for people who maybe don't know, there are videos that Jessica created. They on Jessica's YouTube channel. We're going to link it below for you guys to check it out. There's like an introduction video that speaks about just the creation of the deck, but also for each of the elements, for the cups, for the wands.
And it's basically the guidebook. So anyone who has this deck should go watch it, because this will give you an idea of the journey.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we have the booklet of the of the plate. I'm even now happy there is no booklet, but it's funny, I spoke with Natalia briefly, Natalia Uroburos, and I said like, fuck, I wish it was the booklet. And she's like, no, yeah, but it's Animal Woman, like she probably doesn't believe in booklets. So I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, totally.
I'm like, you're right, actually. It doesn't really necessarily go with this. So, okay, that's wonderful. All right, so the next question, I'm thinking if maybe you should say a little bit more about before we go again into the connecting the decks, a little bit more about the kelp medicine in general, because it's just such a fascinating, I knew people who were very connected to moss, but like you, the first one for me who was so connected to kelp. And there was a question on under my review about the rainbow hair in general, like what that symbolizes for you, and if you could speak a little bit more about your connection to kelp and why kelp and not flowers.
Not flowers, you're funny, Kasia. So yeah, the rainbow hair. So Animal Woman comes into that at the end of her journey. You will see that if you watch those 4 stories on, yes. And so this rainbow hair is it's symbolic of her connection to source. This is her ancestors. This is the bridge. This is a pendulum of her soul, and so in that way, you can see when her hair is up, for example, maybe like in the 4 of Wands, she's dancing with the kelp and her hair is up and she's weaving that DNA with the kelp, right? She's weaving this story with the kelp. And the words are spirit dance, so she's got all this energy. She's just really, she's feeling so alive, and she's doing her work out there in the world, and feeling her connection to source. And then you see immediately after that, what happens? She gets tired. She gets tired because, we are human beings and we have physical limits, and we can only do so much. So you will then see her in, for example, the 10 of Wands or the 5 of Wands, and she's resting. Yes, so the kelp is starting to wrap her in the seaweed, but she's still connected to, she's still connected to all the colors and creation, and it's almost like she's being charged, through her rest, that she's being renewed, revitalized, replenished. So it's not that the connection goes away, but you see her hair goes back to dark. She's really in this human form. She's really embracing what she's learning through the human journey, but she's still connected. And so for me, the kelp is symbolic of, the cosmic womb, the great mother, and so it is all those things, centric to the womb. But the kelp is also closely related to the medicine of the river, the snake, and transformation, which is that, that, the sound, moving your seeds along, moving your stories, your visions, your dreams forward in the world. I believe that the Great Mother wants our prayers, wants our seeds, wants our dreams, like the hungry goddess. And that the kelp is a beautiful medicine to bring forward at this time, because it reminds us of, our connection to the great mystery, where we've come from, where we go back to, is all a mystery, in whatever belief you have. And the kelp is such a deep feminine remembering. I can't tell you how many people I have who say, wow, I just smelled the kelp and it was like, oh, I just I remembered all these things, or I just found this deeper part of myself, or I reclaimed this feminine part of myself that I didn't know I was missing. And so there's just there's a undeniable connection between women and water and the salt. So that's some of it. I mean, I could give you a whole workshop right now on the kelp.
Of course you could. But we stop here, okay? I think it's, as you said, it's also very personal. What's interesting, I think, it's this bull kelp, which you guys have where you live. I'm here in Croatia, I was looking for bull kelp, but yeah, we don't have that. So basically I just have that little hair, it looks like shredded paper.
Yes.
Yeah, but nothing which is long, and I can see the seaweed growing in the sea, which is a bit longer like this, but we don't get
and you asked about the seaweed. Let me just say that the seaweed, so that the seaweed is really in this story, she wraps and she holds. She wraps and she holds. If you see the Six of Wands, she's being wrapped, almost ceremonially, after you give birth, your bones are wrapped. So the seaweed comes in as this, again, a hair, as you said, and a connection. In fact, the part of the work that I do is to connect my hair to the top of my kelp's hair.
Oh, wow. Didn't know. Yeah, because hair is very ancestral as well, right? And hair is very carriers of memory and DNA.
Yes.
Yeah.
So growing with it, through it, connection. So the seaweed and the hair are, intertwined there. Again, in the Four of Swords, you see the seaweed and her are they're interconnected, the hair.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love that. I think you made me just because I never lived I'm lying. I've lived at the ocean for nearly 10 years, but now it seems like another lifetime. But for the last 11 years, I haven't been living at the sea. So whenever I see the sea medicine, it's, I don't know, I just have this, first of all, that kind of deep respect, but also this deep love that I used to have, but a little bit of the pain of missing, the sea. I used to love living at the sea. It was so good for me, as well as for my health, and I cured my sinuses, never came back since I used to have sinuses a lot when I was younger, and since I lived in Australia, it's been gone. And I have that fear of water, actually, which is also interesting, so I'm always really respectful and kind of a bit I don't know, might be coming from past lives, because I've never drowned, but I feel like I have drowned millions of times, you know, because I just like whenever I swim, I don't want to lose, like now I'm a bit better, I practiced, but yeah, every time now I swim, even today, like we swam, like, it's just like practicing this letting go and like trusting, and it's beautiful. I would love to live at the sea again. But anyway, let's move on from my little personal story. And yes, so an important, well, now I'm thinking, okay, no, I think I want to go through the cards now, Jess, and then I want to go about how we connect the two decks, okay? So I asked you before we clicked recording, but I just wanted to make sure that maybe if I wasn't sure what animals they were 100%, then maybe for people it may be also, and maybe you mentioned some of them in the videos, but I couldn't remember all of them. So in
Lion.
That's sea lion, right?
Lion.
Yeah, sea lion. And here, that was interesting. I was just looking at the head, so I'm thinking, what bird is this?
Spider.
That's a spider, and you can see actually the eight hands holding it, but yeah, like bird. No, so this is spider. In judgment, we have
Sweet mother otter. Yep, that's otter.
That's otter with grace, and then in justice, it is lion.
That can be the mountain lion, the cougar, you know, whatever you may call it in your area, you know, the big cats.
Yeah. And
could even be lioness. I mean, she could even be lioness.
Yeah. Could I ask you also about just the presence? So would this be the animal woman, and that would be kind of like us?
Well, yeah, here's the thing is that it's really, she's connecting with her highest self. I mean, for better lack of words, you know, and so she's sitting and she's learning from that part of herself. You know, and I want to just, while you're here for a second, Kostya, talking about the council, I want to say that this is the animal council. So she's sitting inside that kelp with these animals, and those little circles, those are the other animal spirits. So each council, you know, for each element has I think 5 or 6 animals. And so, you know, this is this scene. And you can see in the beginning that it's very fiery, it's very hot, it's almost like kind of intense. And then as the deck goes on, it's becoming more vivid. It's like it's like her, you know, maybe she's coming into more consciousness, or she's realizing some things, or, you know, it's kind of like when you're, the way I want to explain, when you're in a dream and you can't remember too much, but you start working with your dreams and you start remembering more and more and more. It's like that. So, you know, there's more clarity coming. She's able to see around her more, you know, and then it's just changing. The scene is changing, you know, even so much that there's all this other landscape, but she's still inside the kelp. So that's great to say. Yeah, and here it's almost as if that ceremony is taking place within her, right? Like, I mean, this connection, this reunion.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Wonderful. Because yeah, here I can see how, you know, even like she's spoon feeding herself, right? Like, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. Cool. Thank you for clarifying this. And then there was a question from someone on YouTube about the 10 of Swords. So I thought like now maybe we can just speak a little bit more about certain cards. So let's start with the 10 of Swords.
Yeah. So in the storyline, right before this card, I'm pretty sure is the 8 of Swords. And so she's clinging onto this log for dear life, you know, and she's like, oh my gosh, you know, it's very, she's very much feeling like a victim, you know. And so there in the next part of the story, or soon after, you know, she lets go. She just lets go of that, you know, being a victim, staying numb, not looking around, right? Her eyes are closed. She's very much in her feelings and in her emotion, in her head. She's very much trapped. She's trapped there. And so there's this very vulnerable moment where she releases control. She's releasing control, and there's a death happening, and it is sorrowful and hard. And I mean, look at that position that she's in. It's just, like I said, very vulnerable. But she's also, again, like I said before, being charged by this rainbow, you know. She's being charged. I mean, she's dying, but she's beginning again, you know. And so that was really when the rainbow actually started coming into the cards, with that specific card. Now that I think about it, it was when it really started moving. The deck started pivoting.
Yeah, I loved it. Also, I think how you used, you know, those little kind of prayers or like magic spells, I call them. I give myself permission. That's when you get out of the victim, right? You have more power. You give yourself permission to let go. It's very like this kind of active act, like it's an act of will that you can do to yourself. It's beautiful as well. Okay, so we have the Ten of Swords. We were laughing about this one because in my review I said that to me this looks like a fish.
I love that. I love what you saw. Yeah.
But as I mentioned, I kind of wasn't sure like how exactly is this Three of Pentacles working tarot-wise. Like, you know, as an archetype, usually that's like some form of cooperation, or you connecting the dots. So what you said, it's not really the fish. What you meant was...
Well, my process was, and I think whatever we see is what we're supposed to see, you know, and like I said, it's for us and it's a relationship that we're building. But my process was that this was the beginnings of a web. You know, it was like she's beginning to weave this web. And in the first edition, this web is present. It's the 3 pentacles with the web in the center, and it's, you know, it's heart shaped.
Is it? You told it. Oh yeah, look, I found it. So that's interesting.
So, you know, it's again this you know, this different idea or perspective, I guess, of the archetype. And so yeah, she's creating this web, you know, it's meant to be empowering in the way that, you know, we might not always have support. We might not always have what we need. And so can we create that? Can we create that? Can we call that circle? Can we, you know, make ourselves that meal, or get more sleep, or give ourselves what we need? Can we weave the web? It might not always be there for us.
I just also find this position, you know, of her body like really interesting. Like, what are you doing, animal woman?
Because before this in the story, again, watch these stories on YouTube, watch them a few times when you have some time. But, you know, she's in this very heavy position. She's in that 7 of Pentacles, and she's just down low, and her head is down. She's not looking up. She's just, it's too hard. I can't do it. You know, it's too hard. And so in this way, she's like, huh? You know, she's like looking up, and it's like, oh, you know, it's almost like 6 of Swords. Like, oh, I can, there's something else, you know? So it's this, again, it's this moment of, you know, taking back one's power and saying, oh, I don't have support. It's hard. I'm going to create it. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to reach out to others.
Beautiful.
Whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense. Still doesn't look like web to me, but that's okay.
I love you.
Okay, so now I have these 2, and this is, you know, I'm kind of picked the cards like for myself, really. So I hope that's going to collectively also, you know, maybe people think similarly in some ways, but, you know, they seem quite similar. So this one is the Goddess Mother of Cups, which is the Queen of Cups, right? Yeah. And this is 10 of Cups. If you could maybe say, like, just because they feel similar, but they're different, obviously. And
Yeah.
here you have, I feel the beat and I am home as the kind of prayers. And also if you
Yeah.
could speak about the dolls, because they also appear in quite many of the cards. So if you could just tell us more about this.
Yeah, well, the reason that these are similar is because they're placed similarly in the story. So, you know, she's in this place of just really feeling, I think, comfortable, you know, comfortable with herself. And she knows she's not going to leave herself. Leticia was posting, about how it's her 2-year anniversary of marrying herself.
Yeah.
And she was talking about that, and that's like what this is here. It's like, you know, you will not leave yourself. You will not. You are committed. You are home. You know, you are not abandoning, you know, yourself. And so this is really this dance, you know, and this there's a song that I always sing, and I'll sing it because it goes with this. I feel the beat, so it goes like this. Deep in the song, there's a rhythm that's strong. Deep in the song, there's a beat. Guide me to the heart of my song. Oh, may I help the beat along. You know, so helping the beat along, moving our dreams along, you know. And so they're similar because, I mean, I think that is the goddess mother, or the Queen of Cups. You know, she's got to this place where she can use her emotions in a powerful way, you know, and they're not going to like take her down. You know, she's learned how to move with her emotions. You know, she knows how to sit in her emotional tea and make medicine from that, you know. And so with the dolls, you know, this is me, a reflection of me claiming, you know, just my own folk medicine, my Slavic roots. My dolls are inspired by the Montanka tradition of doll making, you know, and the dolls are protectors. And my dolls are really special, and I think one in the world, because I create them with the kelp.
Oh yeah. Do you have any
They're rattle
show? Do you have any just around you, or you don't have them physically next to you?
Not right next to me, but if you watch the release video, there's a shot, I think, where I'm shaking all those dolls. And so that's something just very dear to my heart. And the invitation there for everyone is to you know, come back again to your ancestral wisdom. Also to, you know, when you are sitting in circle with yourself, to create something, you know, from whatever it is, your pain or your, you know, your story, to bring it all in, you know, to gather it all in and create something.
Beautiful. So the next one, which we were laughing, I wanted to see that this is Placenta in the end, Placenta Mountain.
Yes, Placenta Mountain.
Yep. And could you just speak a little bit about the grandmother of Wands?
Yeah, so
and
this
also,
is
like the grandmother would be like in traditional tarot the king, but the grandmother would, like, if you were to describe like the mother of goddess and grandmother of goddess, the grandmother would be just older and wiser in a way, like and mother would be just like you have the maiden, mother, and crone, so the grandmother would be more of the crone energy going on, or how does it fit with the...
Okay, say that again. I had to readjust my leg, my hip was hurting. Say that again. Say that again. Sorry, I really want to hear.
So I was wondering, you know, with the grandmother, if it's from how you see the archetype, is it more like a crone, and the mother, which would be the queen, is more like a mother, and then the maidens would be, you know, the knight and the page. And how would that fit with this particular grandmother of wands?
So in the way that I work with the archetypes of woman, I don't actually associate with the triple goddess. I don't work with maiden, mother, crone. I work with the fourfold. So that being that there's an extra archetype in there. And so that's why there's young mother to goddess mother. Mm-hmm. So young mother would be a new mother who has given birth and she's, you know, she's finding her way. A goddess mother would be an older woman who, you know, she may or may not be bleeding anymore, but she has older children. She's tending community. She's really sharing her medicine. And yes, the grandmother being the crone archetype. Yes. And so in this particular vision, you know, of the card, this is the end of the story. So again, go watch these stories. This is the end of the story. And so in this way, because we had Animal Woman come complete to the snake as a way to say you can shapeshift into anything else you want now. Like, you know, the story continues with you. Who do you want to be? Right? It's all within you. So here she's dying. Her soul is leaving her body. It's the end of the deck. It's the end of this journey. And so she's going back to the stars, you know? And so that's why she's taking this kind of different shape that you haven't seen in the rest of the deck.
Cool. Okay. This is also a good maybe tip, because I remember when I watched the videos on YouTube, I don't think I watched them in the order like this. I think I just watched, like, you know, whatever I managed to like see first. So I don't know if I watched swords, cups.
Watch it. Swords, cups, pentacles, wands.
Okay.
You must watch it in this order to understand the progression of the story.
Exactly. Okay, because, you know, I watched it, but I totally, I'm like, oh, I don't remember. It's like I didn't get the whole story with them. Cool, but this is great. So it's perfect for people also if they just like me and didn't get it. Then you can get it now. Remember, swords, cups, pentacles, and wands. Okay, so I told you that this one freaks me out a little bit, just because moths and butterflies, I love them dearly, but they're a bit of my shadow animal. I don't know, I just freak out when they fly into me. So when I saw the face and this kind of little can you speak a little bit about this one?
So at this point in the story, you know, the goddess is leaving because she's leaving, but she's not leaving, you know, she's there. And so what was also kind of cool to see, just to talk about the process a little bit, is that, you know, she came out actually green as well, like the goddess, right? In that snake form, the snake woman or the serpent. And so, you know, in this card, you know, we're being held somewhere. We're returning to something very deep. And it's a time of waiting and, you know, calling oneself back to oneself. And I really believe it's a huge returning to, again, for better lack of words, you know, our higher self or our highest self.
And you picked the butterfly just to symbolize that the transformation is brewing anyway, but
yes, the butterfly being, you know, I think the ultimate symbol of transformation. I mean, it's the butterfly to me is very close to the snake, the snake's medicine. And so I just thought, oh yeah, I mean, there's no one else I would choose for that card. Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. So I thought also this grandmother of Pentacles, and how would it be, you know, when I think the mother of Pentacles is the wonderful turtle that stands like in this very strong position, right, with the rainbow hair. And then what is she doing here? She's just like,
Yeah, so you'll always see that the grandmothers are descending from the kelp. So they are, in that process, like we are through our menstruation and our blood, we are dying and we are beginning again. So that's why it's day one, right? It's day one. So there's an ascension happening, right?
Cool.
We're leaving this, this physical realm.
Yeah, okay. So grandmothers and the placenta mountain. And the last one, I thought like for Two of Cups, because usually it's like, I'm in love. And that
I'm in love with myself. That's what this is. She's sensing herself, what she's becoming. She's tapped in to what she wants to become, in her life. And she feels that and she trusts that. And it's almost like it's with her. And it's this is sacred union. This is sacred union to me, this card. And I think we should be tapped into what we are becoming, sense what we are becoming, because that's a guiding force. We got to follow, that smell, that scent.
Yeah, totally. And often, on like the deeper level of Two of Cups, you do speak like in the Lovers about the alchemy of the two that creates the whole, right? So yes, these were my cards that I pulled. I actually just the last one to finish with the Wheel of Fortune, the weaving. Like she's like feeding herself. Is it just like nurturing during the times of change and like taking care of ourselves, like from
Yes, and it's also this deep remembering, because in the quilt or this blanket, there's a red circle there, and this remembering, for me, the Wheel of Fortune is this remembering that I am the wheel. Again, those stories, those 4 seasonal stories, each journey, each creation, it's whatever I want it to be. It's whatever I want it to be, so this is a remembering that we are held in that power of the circle. We are held by that. We can count on that, right? Like we can count on our blood or the moon coming or another season coming or whatever it is. We are held by that. Like I said, it's the container, and so, this, I think that this is remembering that we're weaving our own destiny, our own fortune.
I love those hands now. How could I not have seen that? It's wonderful. Like those little 8.
I know.
You never think of the spider from this perspective. Like usually it's doing things different. Like, yeah, wonderful. Cool. Thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoyed this part, because the lack of the booklet, at least we got you a little bit.
And I want to say, I love connecting with people about the deck. So if anyone wants to just write me something and ask me something, and I'm going to start doing some more regular posting on Instagram here soon, now that I'm finished with the project, just write me and ask me. I mean, I love it. I just love to connect with people. So
you had it, guys. Wonderful. But yeah, that was also lovely, to get this sense of how deep that can be, how personal it can be. Like to me, this will always be different than what it was for you, just because of my personal association with this, or my reaction to this particular animal. So yeah, it's wonderful, and I think that's the power of this deck. You get a little hint, and yes, you get this weave of a story, but like you make it whatever it is.
And ask yourself, what archetype is this card for me? What animal is this card for me? And finding that for yourself too.
Yeah, great. So the kind of last question before we briefly speak about the soul skin as well deck is, which I'm wondering, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us who have 2 parts of the deck, how do you see us use the 2 parts right now? So we know it's not the whole story yet. Like, how can we use the 2 decks together? And again, I know we will be figuring it out ourselves, but I was just curious, if you had What's your ideas to what we can do with both of them?
Yes,
like how we would use
I have
them.
a lot to share.
Wonderful.
So one thing that
And I lost you. Play. Okay, sorry guys, we just got disconnected for a while. But so Jess, the ways how we can use the decks together, please.
Great. So one of the first ways that I'd like to share is you can create and build your own deck. And really, this is the way that I had envisioned it from the beginning, was that I really wanted to be able to just pull imagery from different places depending on how I was feeling. You know, because we are like Animal Woman, you know, always in a different moon phase, or wearing a different skin, or we're embodying a different animal or prayer or whatever it is. And so I'll just show you here this deck that I built last night. So it has some of the Animal Woman, it has some of the Soul Skin, okay, and it has, you know, some of the I'm not showing this very well. How do you do that, Kasia? How do you how do you show it so beautifully? Okay, and then there's like, you know, 6 of Swords there, and then like Ace of Cups from the first. And so they're all from, you know, from the 3, I'm speaking now right now from the 3 decks that we have available. And so what I've done is I've built one deck, one tarot deck, using the imagery and the dreams I want to work with right now. So the imagery that I'm connecting with. So for example, I really want to work with this Ace of Cups imagery. And that's what feels strong for me right now. Maybe next month or maybe in another season, I rebuild my deck depending on how I feel. So I'm revisiting that. So like I said, this was my original idea, was that we could build a deck, that we could interchange it, mix and match it, depending on however we feel, whatever we need. So this is exciting.
That's exciting. I wouldn't have thought about that one.
Yeah.
But that's lovely. I mean, I sometimes pull cards consciously, you know, because that's like, you can use tarot as a magic spell, as you know. Enriquez always says, as the like a shield against fear, or you know, like if you're fearful about something, you go through the deck and you can pick a card that makes you, you know, boosts you a little bit, or gives you a little bit. Or sometimes if you like sad and you want to just feel sad, you can pull a card that feels sad. So just work with the images in conscious matter, so not that you just like randomly put it. It's lovely, but I wouldn't have probably go as far as to add also the soul skin. So this is wonderful idea. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's the idea, that you can build your own deck depending on how you feel and where you are and what you need. So my hope is that by the end of this project, you will have a lot of images to pick from. And, you know, who knows what will happen after the journey of the 4 is over. So
the deck will be like...
we will see. So
hold it.
So that's one thing. That's one thing I wanted to share. And the other thing I... You know,
oh wait, Jess, I lost you again.
Yeah.
So what's the other method?
Okay. So the other method, you know, coming back to this idea of sitting in council, calling council and circle with yourself through sacred pause, is I invite you, you know, everyone out there, to sit in council with your deck. So, you know, create a beautiful space for yourself, whatever feels most sacred to you, and just, you know, pull your cards and literally circle them around you. Create a circle with your cards. Sit in the center. Tell your story. Allow yourself to be witnessed by those cards, you know, as your family. And just, you know, cry or just say whatever's on your heart, or whatever you're going through, as you would, you know, as you would a friend. Or, you know, it's a prayer to just speak like that, straight from the heart, and allow yourself to be witnessed by these cards. I recommend, and in the way that I teach the tarot, I recommend that you don't flip your cards over. Have them all face down like this around you in a circle, however many you want to pick, and just sit and just share. You don't need to look at them or think about them or intellectualize them. Just sit and just be witnessed. Just be witnessed. And then after you've gone through your maybe grieving or your storytelling or whatever it is, you can flip them over, and just sit with them. And I really encourage that you just sit with your cards. You don't have to think about what they mean or, oh, how does this connect? Just sit. Just sit as you would in a circle with others. Just sit and listen.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so those are the two that I want to share at this time.
Gorgeous. Thank you. That's really lovely. And very very animal woman. Different. Yeah. And also I think again that you can personalize for yourself.
Let me share one more thing. And this is not necessarily how you can weave the decks, but something that I think is important to say right now. And ties in actually to the sacred pause. But another way that you can use these cards is to deepen in your relationship, specifically to the face cards. And this is very exciting because, you'll hear me talk a lot about in this work, the inner women or the women inside. And I believe that we can learn about those women inside through these archetypes of the face cards. So what you can do is you can get to know them as the phases of your menstrual cycle. So for example, this is the King card, right? King of Cups, grandmother time. This is your grandmother time. This is when you're bleeding. This would be sacred pause. This is days 1 through 6. Okay, then after that phase of your cycle, you're going to move. How do you do that so good, Kasia? You show the cards so good.
Years of practice, mate.
Then you move into the page here, Page of Cups, but it could be any suit, right? And this is the daughter time of your cycle. So this is days 7 to 11. And when I'm talking about these days, this is of course approximate. Nobody's cycle is the same. But then here, Knight of Cups, right? And so this is the young mother time, days 12 through 17. This is ovulation, and then coming here now to the Queen of Cups. This is the goddess mother time of your cycle. So you can get to know those archetypes of the face cards, in this way. Ooh, so that's another thing to think
that's
about.
A totally different one. But if you for example, have the two of those, like two decks, and you wouldn't mix them, like you would have to separate, like would you also in the end maybe use them for like all for directions or for body parts, or you could do that too, right?
Sure, you could do that. I mean, I have had some people telling me, oh, I'm doing this with the cards, or oh wow, I feel called to use them this way. And I mean, I think that's just what it's all about, is like just the power of your imagination and your own intuition and what you feel called to do, through the cards or with the cards.
Sure. Wonderful. Cool. I'm going to slowly wrap us up.
Yeah.
But Zoom wraps us up because it keeps But no, I think it's going to be a really amazing interview for people, especially if they love the decks, and your art, because nobody created a deck for everybody yet, but I'm pretty sure if people are interested and love the decks and have the decks or want to get the decks, they will find it particularly interesting because we got deeply into the deck itself. So that's great. And the Soul Skill Journey card. So this is a deck that people can purchase also from Game Crafter. And by the way, all the decks that you published, they are sold through Game Crafter, so I will link it below as well. But the Soul Skin cards, journey cards are like empty kind of deck. It's like the diary, so you have all the archetypes of tarot, and they dream cards. So you meant to write your dreams on the cards. There is this little book, like a card, which has kind of, you know, working with soul cards, like your points. And I wanted to ask you about this. Do not write anything other than dreams on these cards, which is okay, understandable. Nor should you ever draw or collage on these cards. And you know, I'm pretty sure this is like to have the kind of unity in your work, or like whatever you stand by. But could you explain like why not drawing and only writing?
Yes, well, because this is the invitation. And I mean, I feel like there has to be a clear container, you know, to do the work. And so in the way that you write, it could be your dreams, but it could also be shamanic journeys. It could be visions. It could be OBEs, out of body experiences. So it can be anything of the dream realm. So in that way, it's very, I mean, you could record a lot through those cards. But the reason that I say not to draw on them or collage on them is because, one, you will lose the quality of the card. I mean, like if you collaged on one of these, it would just like, you know, and it would be hard to shuffle, and also no drawing on it, just because, like I said, this is the invitation. And what I would like to see is that we could create art based off of working with that archetype and a dream skin. But that's like it's like a further extension or a deepening of that work. You know what I mean? This is really the tarot offering her bones.
I was just, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, you know, let's say because I did what you suggested. So I shuffled the cards and just put it face down. And in the morning, I only looked what it is and I wrote the dream, right? So I was wondering that now maybe for, I have to do it. I haven't done it, but it just came to my mind right now that I could pull a young mother of swords from one deck and from the other, just to see if in any way it, you know, works together with the dream that I had, or with the imagery of any symbols. That would be also cool.
And speaking of Natalia, she put it in the beautiful way where she said, go find out your inner 78 archetypes.
Yes.
Go find out what they are. I mean, she was so eloquent in saying that. And really, what a way to travel with the tarot through your own dreamscape. I mean, it's so personal, you know?
Yeah. So how did this idea come to you?
This was Animal Woman. I mean, this is where she was directing me instead of the guidebook. She kept saying this over here, and I was like, what is that? I was like, people are going to be confused. Is it the third deck, or what the heck is that? But this is, I'm telling you, this is what Animal Woman is giving instead of the guidebook. She wants you to write it yourself. She wants you to go and, like I said, into the dreamscape, into the dream world, and, you know, bring back your own medicine and sit with it.
It's so cool. I love that there's no guidebook, Jessica, and Animal. But it's wonderful because it's so different. It's so creative. And actually what we were chatting before we pressed record, you know, I was saying that I rarely remember my dreams. So also for people who feel like, oh my God, I'm not such a huge dreamer, you know, I remember 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 20. I actually, that's me. And when I did pull the card and put it on the side, you know, I didn't look at it. And then I woke up in the morning and I remembered the dream. So I was kind of like, wow, you know, grab the pen. Like I advise you to have like something to write down. It has to be some form of Sharpie because it's quite...
Sharpie works best.
Yeah, it's quite a, like the Game Crafter paper changed a bit, so it's much more kind of a little bit more laminated, a bit better quality. And so you need something like Sharpie. It won't, like the normal pen, it won't do. And yeah, and you said that when you kind of do it, like somehow this dream consciousness, it's happening. You will remember more and more. So yeah.
Yes, I think when we're asking for a dream, we want a dream. We're asking for help. We're asking the unknown, help us, give me a dream, give me direction right now. We'll remember, and a dream will come. If we are having that intention, if we are in consciousness. Yeah, and consciousness, is intention. So if you have that intention, it's going to come.
Yeah, and I liked when you said that you were excited about it, because it's true, I was excited about it. I'm like, hey, I want to write my first card. Like, please give me a dream. I want to remember it. I'm sure I dream every night, but I just don't remember most of the time. So.
Well, and I want to say that I was just also excited to bring others into this journey, like to say, hey, come on, take a tarot journey and make it easy and accessible, and just like offer this space, because I think there's a lot of people who would love to create a tarot deck, but it's like, well, how could I start? This could be a great place to start.
Yeah. And also it's so much fun, to kind of see, if you know tarot a little bit, to see the connotations, like, how does it fit with my, like, whatever archetype you pulled, and like see for the symbol and do some research and sit with it, and maybe do some artwork later on. And it's a lovely way to kind of have this sacred pause, in a sense, with yourself through the dream work. And it's lovely. So
I like what you said, deepen. How well do I know the tarot? I love that, because that's exactly what it is to just get away from what you know about it, actually, and to create again the relationship with those cards based on your own, inner world.
Beautiful. And just to finish off with, because I love this, I think you coined it, the sacred pause. Maybe, somebody has probably used it at some point as well, but like, I always will connect it to you. And I love that, just because, I'm usually so quick and so fast, and the sacred pause is like the hardest fucking thing to do for me. It's like, it costs me a lot of practice, right, to do the sacred pause. And at the same time, like, I'm a woman, I menstruate, so naturally I can still do it in this way with my menstruation, if I'm more conscious to be with it. But also, I think for women who do not menstruate, it's also like a just peak time when you feel, probably. How would you have any tips for women who don't menstruate?
So sacred pause is really, you saying, I claim my space. I claim my space to heal myself, to be made new again. This is my birthright to have this space. I need this time. So as you said, yes, for those of us who bleed, it's, that's the time to do it. I mean, that's the time to do it. Your body is slowing you down anyway. And, saying, stop, just stop. So that's great. And I also speak in my YouTube videos about it, that this is a practice for everyone. Sacred pause is for everyone, okay? The wisdom of menstruation is for everyone. And the idea is really that we all come back to the great mother's time, okay? The great mysteries time. And it is a slow time. Look, I planted a garden, this summer, and watching, the seed to get to the place of the tomato where I can eat it and it nourishes me. It's such a long, patient process. And this is the time that the earth needs, the people need to return to, humanity needs to return to. And I believe that this is the invitation of this time that we are in our oneness, that we are called back to that. And so I offer, the teaching of sacred pause. So for this purpose, that we practice slowing down, because many of us have been indoctrinated to, just keep going, just keep producing, just keep sharing, whatever it is, and that's just an illusion. It's not real. It doesn't exist. You'll burn out, you'll get sick. These things just will happen. So, for those who are not bleeding, follow the moon, sit and rest with the dark moon, or, so menstruation, number 1, dark moon, number 2, and 3, whenever. Like, if you just need to pause, then you just do that for yourself and give that to yourself, when you need it.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think we are going to maybe wrap up with this beautiful message. And thank you so much, Jess. It was wonderful to hear you talk about it, to just I always love how you write, like there is strength in when you share things with your voice. It's very kind of resonant to whoever it resonates to, and it's beautiful. Thank you for your time, for sharing all of this. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you have the decks, enjoy working with them, try the ways that Jessica suggested, and if you invent new ways, please share with us. I'm, you know, the first one who wants to know, and I'm sure Jess would love to know too. So just tag Jess or tag me or tag us, or, you know, just share somehow in the comments under the interview or whenever on your channels. I'd love to know, because I think, you know, together we can create like amazing weave of how to use the decks in a different way, and I think it would be awesome to know, you know, how people do that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jessica. Can't wait for the number 3, but let's take a sacred pause for now. We will be working with the Animal Woman for a long time, I'm sure, and thanks for creating this amazing, just amazing part of the tarot world. I was just talking just before we really say goodbye with some of my friends, you know, when you've been in the tarot for many years and you constantly see new decks, just to have something that is so different and so embodied in a sense, and so kind of interesting and original. It's just, you know, a pure pleasure to have that. So thanks for creating it. And all the best to you, my friend. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. And thank you, Kasia, for generously holding space and sharing so much medicine, communicating so much medicine. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. And all the details about what Jessica does, about the decks, but also about your work, you have kind of, it's not even a course. It's like a teaching, you work with women, right? And now we stopped. Sorry, guys, we had to stop again. Little technical bump. So yes, Jessica does also, like, you work with women one-on-one, but also you run like circles, and you run teaching.
Yes, I have a lot going on, and the best way to find out is just go visit my website, see what's upcoming. But at this time right now, yes, I'm calling for one-on-one mentorship, and so if you feel interested in, you know, working with me, this is the time to reach out.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so everything will be in the description box. That's it. Thank you, Jess. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining. Speak to you soon. Bye.